It's 10 minutes after midnight. This is WHFS Bethesda, Maryland at 102.3 FM. My name's Thomas, and we're here with the Stranglers tonight.
You have a wonderful radio voice.
Oh, thank you. You and John are here with us, and we just heard a couple of things from a couple of your albums, Genetics and Men in Black. Tonight you were going to play at the Ontario, and...
That's right, we had all our equipment stolen in New York early this morning. We didn't find out it had all gone until we got here.
It must be really disappointing.
It's frustrating.
I'll bet.
Especially since, it couldn't be much use to anyone else because of, most of it was customised and British cycled, 240 and all that.
Mm-hmm.
So it can't be used without transformers and things here.
And this happened up in New York.
Mm-hmm.
It's a drag. But you will come back and play.
Yeah, hopefully on the 28th of November, I think.
Mm-hmm.
We'll come down from Toronto especially.
How long have the Stranglers been together?
6 years. Since the middle of 1974.
It's a long time. You rode in on the crest of the new wave.
Yeah, we were there before the wave even started.
Yeah, a lot of the bands used to come and see us when we were just playing small pubs in London. Then a few weeks later we'd find out that they had started their own bands.
You do all of your recording over in Europe,
Yeah.
most of it. They're really ahead as opposed to America. And,
Well, maybe just because the social conditions are slightly different. I mean, American music was dynamic in the 60s because it was involved with a lot of heavy things, Vietnam and the whole social aspects of American life then. But since then, it's gone the other way in Europe. It comes and goes in cycles. Maybe America is due for another one soon. But certainly in Europe, you Americans use 3 times as much energy as we do, and food is much cheaper here.
You're very cushioned here against outside stimuli.
Mm.
You seem to, carry on, without being really affected by what's going on. Not for a long time, anyway.
Also, I think, if something happens in London, for instance, then the rest of Europe will know, virtually overnight, Paris and the rest of England, whereas America's a huge place, it's such a big place, so many differences between areas that, if there was due to be a new movement, it kind of, Europe was ripe for it.
The song Vietnam America, does that reflect what you're saying when you did that?
What, Vietnam America?
Mm.
Well, it's just sort of seeing a situation where man can go around pretending he's God and, decimating places or changing the face of the earth.
Britain's gone through that, and we have suffered the legacy. The British Empire was the biggest empire that the world has ever known, and kind of America after the war assumed that kind of role in a different guise. It helped countries financially, and inevitably there was the cultural influence. TV. American TV is the TV worldwide. So all these things have culminated in some kind of a reaction in Europe. At the moment we have cruise missiles. I don't know if you know about the cruise missiles, but they're the latest, the state of technology in nuclear warfare, and they are being placed in Britain, Holland and Germany, and of course a lot of people are well pissed off by that because there's that European paranoia almost now, sort of tension. Also the fact that it's American troops who've got their fingers on those buttons. So there's some kind of tension in Europe at the moment, and also as a result there's that music.
We've got a whole museum in London called Victoria and Albert Museum, which is full of our trophies from our colonial days. It's sort of and it's really embarrassing. I don't see why those things should be in London. They don't belong there. They should be in the countries where they were made.
But from speaking to British musicians, they seem to be very outspoken in their music, and you're just another example of that. What is interesting is you all write as a band. There's not just 2 writers.
Mm-hmm. That's right.
If at any point there's been a disagreement, and there was one slight one once upon a time, it culminated in a solo album. The drummer wasn't convinced that United States of Europe could succeed, and therefore I was convinced otherwise. So I did an album dedicated to the fact that I desperately believe in the United States of Europe.
When you guys put a song together, is it a hassle? I mean, with
No, it's very
that
easy.
many people?
It's very easy. You know, it ends. We just jam on ideas, and the whole thing just comes together. It's very much a four-way split.
I mean, there's so many ideas every day, man. You know, you're fed with so much information, be it true or false, that certainly there's so many external stimuli that there's enough there for
a mountain of records.
A mountain of production. But it's crazy that some people seem obsessed with one thing, which is this so-called love, you know, or sex and that, and they totally are missing out on what else is happening, because if there is so much love in the world, I don't see it, man.
Mm. What do you think about the resurgence of music? Like a lot of new bands are doing covers of the Kinks and 60s music, and
well, it's sad in a way that they can't write their own, you know, classics of the modern day. Why do they have to, you know, go back to those things?
well, probably that period was important.
Well, we've covered one song, which was done in the past. We covered it called Walk On By.
Mm.
But we did a rather different version of it.
It's about 6 minutes long, 7 minutes long.
7 minutes long.
I remember that. What we have queued up is the Raven. If you just tuned in, we're talking to the Stranglers, who were going to be in concert tonight, but the concert has been rescheduled, and they will be back. Would you like to say something about the Raven before we play it?
Well, the Raven represents many things. First of all, it's black, which is a non-colour that we kind of appreciate. It's also a mourning colour. It's also the Raven is because we're all descended from the Vikings in Northern Europe. Even myself, being French, I'm a Norman, and they have had incredible influence over our thought and our mythology. You know, our psyche, sort of European psyche. Also, the Raven was the bird they would carry on their ships, and they'd sail. They got to America. You know, they reckon they got to America never being more at sea for more than 3 or 4 days. And they'd use this Raven. They'd release a Raven every few days, and they were well pissed out of their heads, man. They used to drink an awful lot of ale and cider. I mean, that's how they raped, ravaged, pillaged, burned, looted, and plundered. I mean, you too might do that if you were a few days.
Mushrooms as well.
Yeah, mushrooms, which you can still pick. And they released these Ravens, and the Ravens would fly in a straight line, and they would home to land. They knew their direction, so it was a good, strong symbol for us. And also, the Raven destroys all weak things.
And if you're to believe the Bible, Noah released a raven before the dove, and it didn't come back.
And also, finally, there are ravens attached at the Tower of London. And it's believed that they're attached by chains, and it's believed that if they fly away, that's the end of Britain, the British Empire, all that shit.
Let's listen to the Raven. These are the Stranglers. There we go. You're listening to WHFS Bethesda, Maryland at 102.3 FM, and we're talking with the Stranglers. You and John are with us tonight. We just played Nuclear Device, and what else did we play? The Raven from the Stranglers. And you say there's a story behind Nuclear Device.
Behind Nuclear Device, yes. It was written after our experiences in Australia. On our second day in Australia, we were banned from every TV station in the country because they set up an interview and they asked us some questions and we answered them honestly. And for instance, one of the questions was, have you ever taken drugs? And we said yes. That was it. And the National Union of Journalists there tried to get us banned from all the press, which only increased the interest in people coming to see us. And eventually we went to the state of Queensland. Now Queensland is a very interesting place. It's run by a guy who has managed to stay in power for more than 10 years on 17% of the vote. His name is Joe Bjerke Peterson.
Swedish, by the way.
Swedish descent, yeah. He has managed to do this by gerrymandering, which is changing electoral boundaries to suit his electoral system, which is, like in Australia, 90% of the population live in cities on the coast. So he has made the vote of all the big ranchers and the big landowners, the sheep farmers in the backwoods. He's made their vote worth 2 votes of city people. So that his country party, it's called the Country Party, can stay in power with 17% of the vote. He also would, if possible, like to secede from the Australian Union, and he's been pursuing a policy of kicking Aborigines out, and I'm sure Reds people can identify with that, with the Reds over here, the Indians, that he's been pursuing this policy of kicking Aborigines off their ancestral lands, and because of uranium, and selling it to Japanese business and that. He's also made strikes illegal, and groups of 6 people or less constitute an illegal gathering. So you have a city of 2 million people like Brisbane, which the streets after about 7 or 8 at night are deserted. And strikes are illegal. Marches are only legal if they are approved of by the government, and they tend to be country party marches.
He's got his own secret police force called the Task Force, which go around terrorising people and generally discouraging anyone from opposing him. And at one concert we did in Brisbane, they attacked our stage, and we didn't know who they were. We hit them, and we had to flee over the borderline, which was not too far at the time. And he wanted to close the place down for a long time, and so he rigged it up so that he could close the place. He could quite easily the next day. So, well, there's too much trouble at that place, we're closing that place down. So that was the end of rock music in Brisbane.
There were a few communes, hippie communes or surfer communes further up the coast, because it's called the Gold Coast, and it's the Pineapple State. And he had his task force burn these villages down.
You were saying this was the first time that you had visited Washington tonight. Did you get to look around today or at all?
No.
Nah. We just came in at about 5 o'clock and found out that the gear had gone.
Yeah. So we should mention again that you will be back. You have quite a tour lined up, though.
Oh, definitely. That's not going to stop us playing.
No. Where do you go?
Just getting some equipment stolen.
Tomorrow you go where? North Carolina?
We're going to Atlanta tomorrow. That schedule's a bit wrong on that magazine.
Oh. But you've got quite an itinerary coming up. You like playing over here?
Yeah, it's better than it was last time. It's more open. The people don't seem to be so opinionated this time. The audiences, when we came over, the punk new wave thing was really going strong in England. It was coming over here in the press, and people had very strong impressions and opinions about what they wanted us to do and what they expected of us. And this time, it seems to have blown over, and they can accept us for what we are.
That's great. I was asking you if you would play some records, and Jean said that he liked Captain Beefheart a lot.
And Kraftwerk, if you've got the model. Yeah. Well, yeah, Beefheart is. It's ironic that Beefheart had to come to Europe to be really appreciated. I think he's much more appreciated in Europe than over here.
He plays to 5,000 people in Paris.
I mean, we really dig him.
What kind of music did you listen to when you were growing up?
Beefheart music.
Right.
Especially from the
Clear Spot.
Clear Spot, and what's the one before that?
Spotlight Kid.
Spotlight Kid.
Very accessible.
Great.
Did you get into the Beatles or any of that?
No, that was pre-my time.
Elvis?
That was way before my time.
Which Elvis?
Well, that's true. Rockabilly's coming back now. You can see that.
That's
Dave
strange.
Edmunds and Rockpile and all. It's rehashing.
It's quite strange.
Yeah.
Well, let's classical ballet making a comeback.
Yeah. Let's play Captain Beefheart and let you guys play some records. So we're talking to the Stranglers. Sean and you are with us, and they're going to do an instant radioactivity.
She can burn you up in bed just like she said, 'cause she's a hothead.
Okay, this is WHFS Bethesda, Maryland, and this is Hugh Cornwell of the Stranglers, and you've just been listening to, the last thing was, something by us, Vietnam America by the Stranglers, and before that was The Model by Kraftwerk, and before that, Hothead by Captain Beefheart.
Did
I miss the model?
Yeah, you missed the model. Jean's on the telephone, and he missed the model, but we really appreciate you coming by tonight. I'm really sorry that you didn't get to play, and I'm sure a lot of people are disappointed, but you will be back.
I think all the tickets are going to be honoured, you know, for the replacement gigs.
On the 28th, we definitely intend coming back on the 28th.
Maybe with Still Pulse.
This time.
Maybe with Still Pulse, right?
Yeah. November the 28th.
November 28th, so you'll be back.
That's just before we fly off to court.
Right now, usually, we do the musicians classified announcements. Would you like to do
South
those?
France. We've got a court case pending.
I just read these out, yeah?
In jail pending.
Okay, all you musicians out there, there's a keyboardist wanted with strong vocals and a drummer needed to complete an established band. They're into rock, swing and jazz, and they have a studio date in December. And you got to call Mark at 869-1376. Mark on 869-1376.
No, we were thinking of landing in Queensland first.
Oh, that one's been crossed out, right?
No, that's over.
That's over.
Absolutely.
Okay, all bass players listen. A bass player is needed to complete a 5-piece band. Style is 60s rock and roll. Music cover will be Grin, Cream, Blind Faith, Jefferson Airplane, another 60s and 70s artists. For more information, call Zoe on 649-4767. 649-4767. Drummer and bassist needed to complete a teen band that is into the Who, Stones, Clash, Ham, The Ham, and mid-60s English new wave rock and roll. A northern VA area. Ask for Doug at 978-5280. 978-5280. The Silver Spring Band is looking for a good full-time management, agent-type person. Okay, so if you're into that, you've got to ring 942-3540 or 627-3841. 942-3540, 627-3841. God, there's hundreds of musicians here required. A female vocalist is seeking musicians for local gigs. Call Eileen after 6 p.m. Sunday through Friday at 549-6293. 549-6293, Eileen. And that's it.
Okay, well, I appreciate you doing that, you.
You've got a lot of jobs for musicians around here.
Yeah. Well, we have a really good local music scene here in Washington. Yeah. Washington's very receptive to all kinds of music. This radio station is proof of that, because we have no format or anything.
It's great you don't have a playlist.
I mean, where else can you do an interview, talk on the phone?
That's right.
And read the musicians classified. But again, I appreciate you coming by, and hope everyone goes and sees you on the 28th.
Yeah, 28th.
It'll be at the Ontario.
Yeah, November 28th.
November 28th. Well, great. I'm going to wrap it up with Dead Los Angeles.
Okay.
So you want to tell us something about that?
Well, it's sort of the only other song we've ever written about something to do with America, because we only write about things we experience, and we visited Los Angeles, and we got an expression in England meaning where you say something's a dead loss, which means, you know, it's a bit of a bummer. And so it seemed like a great title for a song, Dead Los Angeles, because we didn't really enjoy it very much. It's not really a town. It seems to be like a make-believe town, totally. It was built on a swamp. You know, if it looks like it's a totally temporary town, it looks like it's going to take... If you wake up one morning, you'll look out your hotel room and you'll see the whole thing's been packed up and moved up the coast. It looks like a totally temporary place. Very strange.
You'll be out in Los Angeles the 6th, 7th, 8th, and 9th of November.
That's right. And this time we're not going to walk on the street.
No?
Because last time John walked on the street and he got pulled by a police car because they said, "What are you doing walking down the street? You're not allowed to. You look suspicious."
I was just walking down the street.
Men in Black, you're saying.
I was dressed in black. But no one else drives the streets in Hollywood, in Los Angeles. In Hollywood Boulevard they do.
Is the new wave scene a lot different there too?
No idea. I've heard of Dead Kennedys, and they write about kind of forming things like, you know, it's a drag when your second car doesn't work or something.
Yeah. Jack Cassidy came up from SVT, who was the bass player with Jefferson Airplane, and he has a totally new direction, a new band, and I think they're all on the same label, the Kennedys, and
Mind you, they sound a bit like a 1976 British punk band.
Mm.
The sound, anyway, not the subject matter.
Well, again, I want to wish you the best of luck on your tour, and hope to see you back here in November. I'm sure people will come out and see you, and thanks again.
Great. Thank you.
Good night.